Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So I think it's more time now than ever to talk about this deck. For those who don't know, I actually really like Vanquish Soul. I played this deck back in 2023. I got my OTS championship top with it back in Duelist Nexus era. That was when Rescue Ace and Unchained were really popular as strategies. I played it literally right before Agov, so it was without Jiaolong. However, I did play it like a super heavy samurai build of it. I felt like it was a really strong contender into Kashtira format. And it also made more, I think it topped and won YCSs too around that time. So I am very familiar with this deck. I actually really love the playstyle of this deck. In my personal opinion, I think Vanquish Soul is the best mid-range deck that we've had in history. There are no real weaknesses when it comes to this deck. There's no real blowout card that just takes you out of the water. There are some specific cards that really shuts down the entire deck, like Amano Iwato is like a good example. But the strategies that can play stuff like Amano Iwato are not fit for the format. So you really don't have to worry about the silver bullet cards that really beat Vanquish Soul as of this moment. It's also a deck that can play a lot of really good non-engine, like the example build that I have right here without counting these 10 cards at the bottom. Like I'm playing Ash Blossom, I'm playing DD Crow, which should be in a lot of people's radar now. We're playing Bestials, we have Ghost Bell, Fualas, even though it doesn't synergize with the archetype that much, is also a card to consider here. Yeah, I think Vanquish Soul is in a position where it's never going to be a bad deck, unless they actually nerf it to the ground, but that's another topic for another time. Duelist Advance gave the deck a few new cards. It gave them Holisu, it gave them a Vanquish Soul start, and it gave them Rocks. Rocks is not that great. Rocks doesn't really fix a lot of issues for the deck. One really cool thing about Rocks, it does enable you to make Sky Thunder easy, which is something that the deck was already doing before, so it kind of solidified that identity. Vanquish Soul start, in my opinion, is like the best card that the deck could have received, because it turns Dr. Madlove into a starter. Prior to this, Dr. Madlove didn't have good search targets for Vanquish Soul. Now, being able to have really good search targets while already having the availability to disrupt your opponent with what the card does itself, actually really changes a lot for the deck. Holisu is another really big one. Once we get Justice Hunters, Holisu is going to be way more relevant than ever before. For this particular moment, Holisu is really just as good as a card as Vanquish Soul start. If you're watching this video, you probably already know what all the Vanquish stuff do by now, so I'm not gonna go real hard into it. I'm not gonna explain the playing power of the deck. What I will talk about is why is this deck really good right now, and more importantly, why is this deck dominating the OCG? You already saw the numbers. This is the best deck over there by a long shot. And I'm really happy that a deck like this is the best deck, because it's been a long time since the best deck was a mid-range deck. Historically, over time, we've just had really heavy combo decks just being the centerfold of the format, and it kind of forces players to just play at a very awkward pace. But with Vanquish Soul, you're pretty much playing old-style Yu-Gi-Oh! This deck does not OTK you real quick. This deck does not vomit a lot of mini gates. This deck does not do any of that stuff. This deck, what it does is that it slow rolls advantage into you with their own particular cards. Now that we got an idea of like what Vanquish Soul wants to do, let's talk about a few engines. Until K9 comes out, this is not going to be the best deck. Once K9 comes out, I think that position will change. I think K9 does an immense amount of things for this archetype, as well as other archetypes in the game. I think K9s were perfectly made for Vanquish Soul. But before we talk about K9, let's talk about other engines that I've seen people actually experiment. I personally think the pure variant with just a lot of really strong cards, stuff like DD Crow, stuff like Bestials, it's just the way to go. Sadly, we don't have that many lingering hand traps outside of Dimension Shifter that fits the 3 tri-types for Vanquish Soul. Maxi being in the OCG is a really big deal because it is a reveal for the Vanquish effects. It's also being a lingering hand trap. But yeah, one build I saw some particular people do is playing with Ryziels. Ryziels are really good in the sense that half of them are fire. But not only that, they enable you the summon of King Dempsey. And King Dempsey upon summon can grab you Rosin. And Rosin is the best card, like, is the best starter. Like, this card is Disruption, this card is a starter, this card being level 4 is also a big deal, this card being Fire is also a really big deal because of Jiaolong. So, just having a sub-engine that can get you to Rosin, while also pivoting, like, plummeting stuff against your opponent is also strong. The XYZ lock from Ryziels, you don't care about it that much, because Vanquish Soul mainly plays with their main deck. Like, the only real extra deck monster that you actually care about is Rock of the Vanquisher. So, that being said, I think Ryziel is just fine as a natural pick. Fiendsmith. At first, I was not convinced by Fiendsmith as a strategy for Vanquish Soul. I actually didn't think there was real synergy until I saw this. Somebody did this against me like a few days ago. This is a 1-card Engraver combo, and that Engraver combo, surprisingly enough, gets us to our Vanquish Souls. Dr. Madlove being a Fiended type monster means that Aerial Eater can dump it, and then you can reborn it with Cross Sheep. And after Madlove is in rotation, you now have all your other Vanquish Souls that like start moving, rotating pieces within one another. This was that 1-card combo with Engraver. So if this is possible, yeah, this is just really cool. And this is not talking about the fact that this engine can enable you access to DDD High King Caesar, which is another really cool thing that you can make in this deck, and it kind of fixes one of the issues that the deck has. Yeah. All of a sudden, Fiendsmith is actually not a bad pick. Regenesis. This is one of the first things that people thought about. Heavy Borgard does have 2500 attack, so it does enable you access to your Regenesis cards. Regenesis do have Earth and Fire monsters, and their Earths and Fires are actually really strong. You also have Bestials as potential reveals for your Regenesis, which kind of helps because there are no Dark Regenesis monsters. Regenesis has this natural weakness where it has to be played into a slow grind game. Against heavy combo decks, Regenesis just don't do that well. So the synergy with Vanquish Soul is really cool in the sense that the Vanquish Soul is going to try to slow down your opponent, which gives you the ability to just like control and dominate the tempo with the Regenesis cards. Diabellstar / Asamina. This also works with Vanquish Soul. The Bellstar being the Dark Wish being a dark monster is a really good reveal for the Vanquish effects. This thing being able to enable you the Azamina cards means it can give this deck negates, it can give them more card advantage. Sadly, you cannot pair it up with Snake Eyes because we do have the Sinful Spoil Snake Eyes forbidden, but this is just worthwhile mention. This is also 2500 attack in case you want to mix this alongside Regenesis. Kashtira, the OCG does not have Fenrir, while we have Fenrir. Fenrir is actually not that bad of a card into a Vanquish Soul format. And this giving us Rise Heart, which is a fire monster, or giving us another copy of Fenrir, which is another earth monster, is just a natural fit for Vanquish Soul. You can also play like the other Kashtira cards, and if you do that, you can also play that with Regenesis. I'm going to keep bringing up Regenesis whenever I see something that can mix well with it, because the game plan of Regenesis is the same game plan as Vanquish Soul. Fire Kings. The most important Vanquish Soul monster is like Razen and Jiaolong. Jiaolong needs 2 fire reveals, which works with Fire Kings. Super Heavy Samurai. This is what I've been doing on my Vanquish Soul build. I don't think it's the best one. However, Vanquish Soul is a deck that is heavy monster based, so you don't care about the restrictions that the Heavy Samurais have until you activate stuff like Stake Your Soul, Start, and Snow Devil. And if you're resolving all these cards, you're already establishing the game plan for Vanquish Soul, which is fine for these cards. Quantum. If you have not seen my Malice video involving the Super Quantum as a side engine, the same thing applies here. Blue layer and green layer and white layer are not the attributes for Vanquish Soul. However, red layer and the black layer are, as well as Zaytan. And red layer is level 5, which will be relevant after a particular combo that I will show you in this deck. You also have Punk. Punk actually has Earth and Dark monsters. If you're wondering what is the Dark monster for Punk, it's Ogre Dance. Ogre Dance is a Dark attribute, and it's also for 2500. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. You already know. Punk's received support very recently. It is also a really cool deck that can be played mid-range. So if you're looking for another engine to pair with Vanquish, like up until the release of K9, this is not a bad one at all. You also have K9. I'm not gonna talk about this. You guys already know by now. Extra deck. Until we get the K9 cards, I think these are the cards that you should be having in your extra deck. You're probably thinking, well, without K9s, this is not that easy to summon, right? Well, you'd be surprised. Like Holisu and Jiaolong are already 2 level 5s. If you play the Quantum engine, you have Red Layer, which is another level 5 that is very easy to summon. And if you don't know anything about Super Quantums prior to this video, Super Quantums have monsters that manipulate levels. Like, if you have, for example, Zaytan, Zaytan can become level 5 if you summon Red Layer. So that already enables you rank 5 access real easily. Okay, so I'm going to show a particular combo. This is really cool with the Quantum stuff. You guys already know this combo most likely. You've probably already seen it with K9. But it's something I want to talk about because if you're not careful, your Vanquish opponent will beat you by doing this. So right now we're just doing the motions, we're just doing regular Vanquish Soul stuff. This is the part where it gets different. With the heavy burger effect, you're going to do the burn effect. So you already took 1500 to your opponent is at 65. Now we're going to overlay for Nash Knight. And Nash Knight is a really cool card. It has a quick effect interruption to attach a monster as material. Very similar to like 101. But we're not summoning Nash Knight because of that. We're summoning Nash Knight because of Chaos Nash Knight. Chaos Nash Knight can be SIC summoned using Nash Knight. And Chaos Nash Knight can detach itself to summon any number between 101 and 107. We are summoning the Chaos 104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. For those who don't know about Masquerade, during either player's turn, if you have the other Masquerade as material, which is easy to do with Nash Knight effect, you can, whenever your opponent activates a monster, you can detach that material, negate that activation, send one random card to your opponent's hands or graveyard, and if you do, half your opponent's life points. This is the important part. This is the very important part of it, about this effect. Because by doing Chaos Masquerade, you're already burning them for 3250. Remember, they were already at 65. So that already puts 4750 damage on the board already between 2 turns. And now you got Snow Devil and you got Heavy Burger. Snow Devil, if you reveal 3 attributes, will burn for 1800. Heavy Burger, if you reveal 2 attributes, is going to burn for 1500. And that's over 8k damage. You will see this combo resolve at least once between this format and our next format. And Vanquish Soul is the best deck that can do that. So be very, very careful against Vanquish Soul. The reason I also bring this up is because we do have archetypes that pay a lot of life. We got Malice. We also have Lunalight, and when I say Lunalight, I mean specifically Heavy Polymerization. You have to be careful when using these cards because Vanquish Soul will actually end the game with Heavy Burger mixed with Snow Devil. Yeah, I think this is all I want to talk about for now. I really do think Vanquish Soul is a really good deck. I wouldn't be surprised if this strategy actually tops the North American WCQ, because despite not having the K9 cards, these cards are really good for this deck. And as a mid-range strategy, I don't think there's any other deck that can do a better job than this one. A lot of people are going to be very tunnel visioned into beating Right Seal, into beating Mitsurugi, and into beating Malice, as strategies, and potentially Orchest. All the Silver Bullet cards that beat all these decks, they don't beat Vanquish Soul. So that's something Vanquish Soul will take to their advantage. And since Vanquish Soul is not the best deck in the format, at least not at this current moment, not a lot of people will gear themselves to be prepared for it. Alright. More practicing to be done. For the rest of you guys, I encourage you to do the same thing. Keep vanquishing, keep practicing, and keep dueling.